So, hello everyone. My name is Ananya Sunil, and I had the privilege of working with Miss Shivani Arsu on a project that I'm super passionate about. For context, I'm very into psychology and I want to pursue a career as a therapist or a psychologist in the future. So, today I'll be sharing my research on a question that I care about deeply, which is how does rapid technological development impact individuals' ability to reach self actualization? But I guess to begin, we kind of have to define what really is self actualization. And we can do that by Abraham Maslow's definition of what self actualization is, because he created the Maslow's hierarchy, which basically says that you have to complete all the lower tier levels, like physiological needs, safety, belongingness, before you can achieve the top, which is self actualization. In fact, he actually defines actualization as the tendency and desire to become more and more of what one is and to become everything that one is capable of becoming. So, traditionally, it was actually believed that people could only reach self actualization once all the lower tiers were met. But something really interesting is that recent studies actually show that it's possible to reach self actualization or esteem even when the lower tiers aren't fully satisfied. So, I guess why this topic matters to me and why it should matter to all of us is because, as we all know, we're in a rising digital age and technology is playing such a big part of our lives and shaping our lives. It's pretty much become fully integrated into every single activity that we do. It can provide, I guess, learning experiences. It can expand our skills, our creativity, and nurture connections. But on the other hand, it can also be extremely distracting, speaking from personal experience, and even damaging to self esteem, especially when the topic of social comparison takes over. I think this, so to say, double edged nature of technology is what makes it so important to explore, because depending on how it can be a catalyst or a barrier is really important when it comes to us reaching our full potentials. Now, to talk about existing research, because that's pretty much the basis for the study, is existing research says that technology has both its benefits and its risks. For example, a study showed that AI helped these international students expand their skills and confidence because they had to give a presentation in English, but they weren't very confident about it. But they turned to AI for support, and AI prompted them and helped them with their presentation. And it not only expanded their skill set, but it also helped them feel more confident. And then another study also showed that I guess humans by nature are very curious individuals, and the internet has so much knowledge and so much information to offer. So it was shown that we tend to go to the internet to answer our questions, and this can actually help us find our purpose, and it's linked to higher life satisfaction. These are two benefits, but it has also been linked to some negative things as well, because heavy social media use has been tied to loneliness, reduced life satisfaction, and comparison based stress. And in extreme cases, poorly designed AI can actually harm vulnerable users. For example, the 17-year-old boy who was dealing with some really heavy mental health issues, he felt extremely lonely and he went to AI for comfort. And when he voiced his, I guess, this is a little trigger warning, his like suicidal thoughts to the AI encouraged him to basically harm himself, which is why I think it's extremely important for us to treat AI and I guess technology in general with intentionality and digital literacy, because obviously this source is so important and it can help us with so many things, but it is programmed in a myriad of ways, which is why it's so important that we need to study it better. Now, my mentor, Miss Arsu, we worked together on finding some existing research, but she also encouraged me to do my own research. So, to explore this question myself, I created a cross sectional survey of 35 participants ages 15 to 50, and it had five main parts, which were demographics and tech use. So, how old they were, if they were unemployed, what their job was, and I guess tech would include their average screen time and what they use technology for. And then I also had a section for Maslow's foundational needs, like if they had constant access to water, a safe home. And then we had a self actualization section for growth potential, and then technology and self image. And then lastly, I also included two open ended questions because I thought that it would be really interesting to hear what participants had to say about how they truly felt about self actualization and trying to grow. But I found that this structure gave me some really solid data because I got quantitative data from, I guess, the more structured questions, but then I also got some very qualitative insights from the participants' personal reflections. So, my key findings for growth in particular were that most participants expressed a strong motivation for personal growth. In fact, 84% agreed that they like putting themselves in uncomfortable positions in order to grow. And then 80% felt confident in their worth and their self esteem. However, something that was kind of interesting was that fewer participants strongly agreed that they feel deeply fulfilled, which can suggest that even though growth and confidence are present in someone, true fulfillment is always much more harder to sustain. And it's even more harder to sustain and nurture in a world where digital digital life and technology is there's like constant simulation in our life, so it's harder to achieve that. And then when it came to technology, the survey also revealed some pretty balanced information. To start, about 58 to 60% of participants agreed or strongly agreed that technology helps them better explore and understand who they are, which can suggest that digital platforms can provide opportunities for self growth. But also, 64% admitted that time spent online often pulls them away from goals that truly matter, which I feel like this is pretty personal for me too, because I guess it highlights one of the main tensions of living in a digital age, because technology can open up so many doors for opportunities and growth, but it can definitely be a distraction. And then another important finding that's also pretty predictable was that 54% reported comparing themselves to others on social media in ways that negatively impact how they see themselves, which I think is the nature of social media, where you're constantly seeing people. And I guess that comparison, that cancel culture, is definitely something that can lower your self esteem. Now, another finding that I didn't include in the slideshow, but it was the response of an open-ended question, was someone actually described self-actualization as a never-ending process of becoming. And I thought that was really interesting because you'd assume your entire life you're working towards something and you're finally going to achieve it. But I feel like this question really reflects the heart of my study, that you're always growing towards becoming something, but that doesn't mean you're going to achieve it. But also, technology can definitely serve as a catalyst and help you grow and help you become someone who you're meant to be. Now, to talk about discussion and our implications. So, these findings suggest that technology's impact on self actualization definitely depends on, like I said before, intentionality and digital literacy, because without that balance, it can distract us, it can fuel a lot of unhealthy social comparisons, and definitely um, undermine our focus. However, with intentionality and mindfulness, it can be such a powerful tool for growth, creativity, and purpose. I think the challenge for our generation and future generations is because technology is been pretty much like integrated completely into our lives, that learning how to find that balance between using it and then using ourselves for other things is something that we need to learn how to do, because if we learn how to harness technology, then we won't let it control us and affect our lives. Now, for my conclusions, my study highlights that while technology can support self actualization and offer tools and opportunities, as it helped the international students I talked about before, it can also risk pulling us away from what truly matters the most. The fact that I think so many of the participants in the survey I conducted are striving for growth, I think that's a super encouraging thing. However, the low fulfillment levels definitely suggest that I think we need to rethink how we balance our lives with technology, and because it's such an important part of our lives now. I think that going forward, we should be fostering digital literacy and intentional engagement, because that will be extremely crucial if we want technology to be the pathway to finding our purpose and not a hindrance. Um, and lastly, I'd like to thank my mentor, Dr. Shivani Arsu. She's been there for me pretty much every step of the way. I think this is my first time ever, I guess, researching on my research, like I guess researching a topic that I like on my own. And I guess she really guided me through everything I needed to do, everything that was helpful for the final product. I'd also like to thank the Talaria Summer Institute for really providing this opportunity, and I guess helping us with the process as well, because this project not only deepened my research skills, but it also strengthened my passion for understanding how, I guess, psychology, technology, and human potential all like ultimately intertwine together in all our lives. But yeah, thank you so much to everyone, and I'd be happy to take any questions.